What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
The thing that cracked open my mind was a manic episode, which is why I am standing on my soapbox and trying as hard as I can to sound the alarm bells and change mental health, because after what I experienced, I firmly believe I can speak for sure for bipolar, because that's my experience, that it is indeed a failsafe. It is your body working as designed. And after you've been traumatized so much that you think it's your personality, you get snapped in the spirit world to remind you what the fuck is real. But you have to hang on to that with all your might, because every single person around you is going to tell you you're delusional and you're crazy and you're hallucinating. But it led me down the best rabbit hole, and I'm so grateful.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
Just like the other person said, cartoons. Like, I've had so many people throughout my life be like, why do you still like cartoons? That doesn't make any sense. Because literally, they show you exactly what's going on and they don't filter it. They just make it kiddish to hide it, but they're trying to tell. Adventure Time is a great example. Great example. Anytime Ice King would say anything about Wizard Eyes, I would literally stop and pay attention. Anytime. You remember the psychic tandem war elephant? Do you remember? Okay. So when they went on their whole spiritual journey, listening to all the other beings, you know what the sun said? The sun said, I've been here and I've been watching y'all for hundreds of thousands of years. Nothing you guys do matters. Like, people need to truly understand all this extra paperwork. We were meant to exist, build a beautiful society, and then stop working. Like, all this is extra.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
One cartoon, 2 words. BoJack Horseman. Specifically, season 4 of BoJack Horseman. If you would have told me that a cartoon about a horse would have sparked very important parts of my internal spiritual healing, I wouldn't believe you. I just wouldn't. But the way that show went from a cute little show to watch to sparking massive internal growth and looking back at my lineage and trying to break generational patterns, a cartoon about a horse, y'all. If you want to watch a show that sparks introspection, watch BoJack Horseman, but proceed with caution.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
I'ma tell you. Lucy. Y'all know who Lucy is? Lucy in ancient Egypt made me question everything that I had ever learned. Lucy was a skeleton found in Ethiopia, and they found Lucy in the early 1900s, and she was hundreds of thousands of years old, older than the Bible. Then of course we know ancient Egypt is hundreds of thousands of years old. They don't even really know how old the pyramid is, but it's older than the text in the Bible. Back when Jesus existed, it's older than that. And this was in 2013. It made me think, if the ancient civilizations were older than the Bible, where does the Bible actually fit in all of this?
I was a
What's that
victim. Hear
one
my
thing that
story.
sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
When I realized that ADHD medicine like Adderall and Ritalin was actually had the same chemical compounds as methamphetamine, and that the federal government was prescribing this shit to kids all over the United States of America. It blew my mind and made me question everything I thought I knew about life.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
Alright, hear me out for just a second. I grew up in a very Catholic home. I always had hardworking labor jobs. I played hockey my entire life. I had shower beers with the boys, would get drunk with my friends on the weekend, and make out with random girls in the bar. But, doesn't matter what I did, somebody would always ask me if I was gay. And of course I would deny and get super fucking offended. Then, after living by myself for a while and finally getting a bit curious, I went and experimented with a boy. Long story short, I kissed a boy, and now I suck dick.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
Look, all I remember is that one day I was just curious about what the fuck my consciousness was, and then I started questioning religion. I was like 16, and I was really wondering, like, what's the point of this shit? Like, what's my consciousness? Why do I have to worship a god to be accepted by him? Like, why can't I just be a naturally good person? Why does there have to be a consequence of dying and going to hell and dying and going to heaven for people to want to be a good person? I never liked that. So I fucking long. I mean, I guess I'm still on the journey of like wondering, but like, yeah, wondering what my consciousness was and like all that religion shit. That's why like I'm pretty not believing in much other than like we're one solid consciousness. But I love you guys so much. You guys have a wonderful day, and I love you.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
Everything that everyone has ever written about God are just people's ideas about what he might be like if he were real. And none of them have any way of knowing if what they're saying is true or not.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
About 17 years ago, I watched this movie when it came out in theaters, and it blew my mind. That's the same year that Masaru Emoto came out with his research on water and how water is affected by our thoughts and words. And I was already questioning reality after watching The Matrix in 1999. I then dove into this book, and it was all over. I dove deep down the rabbit hole and never came back. And so almost 20 years later, I'm excited to share what I've learned on my spiritual awakening journey. Let me know how I can help you on yours.
What's that one thing that sparked in your brain that made you question everything?
I think it was the time that I almost got beat up by gay bodybuilders. Now, I used to work this summer job in the city, and it was right next to this gay club. And I know a lot of people that work there, from the bartender to the busboys to the waitresses. And on our breaks, we would even smoke together. So this specific day, I didn't have no weed. So I was keeping an eye out just to see if I see anybody I could buy some from. Now, everybody that knows me knows I need some glasses. So while I was just sitting there staring, somebody out of a group of people across the street was like, "What the fuck you looking at?" For some reason, my first response was, "You, bitch." Now listen, I've been jumped before. I'm fine with that. But as these dudes were running up to me, my vision was getting clearer. It was like 6 of them, and they was all like 6'5", 250 pounds. I knew in that moment I was finna get my ass beat. Something sparked in my brain, and I just told myself to act gay. I was like, "What you got against gay people?" They was like, "What you mean, we gay?" So I had to just run, y'all. I had to get up out of